Hello there. I am Dr. Wu, and I am listening. And I've been trying to kind of wanted to do something, but my upper back went out because of Desert Storm, and I was like, nope, I'm going to do it because I was literally hanging upside down. Okay, so just tell you a story. About 30 years ago, medical school, my father dies about 4 weeks, within 4 weeks of cancer. I was just starting to heal, but then poof, I was sent away to Desert Storm. When I came back from Desert Storm, my mind was different, my emotions were different, and it ended actually in a divorce from my medical school sweetheart. So the whole thing was just very confusing, like what happened. So this is 30 years ago, but it wasn't until 3 years ago when I was doing a trauma volunteer course at my church that I realized, oh my goodness, they were talking about PTSD. I have PTSD. So now I am here to help people because I know how some of you are feeling. Because I literally came home and I would argue with my spouse, but I didn't know why. And I knew I couldn't control it. It was so strange. So I'm here to share with you things I've learned the last 3 years because I wish somebody had told me this. Okay? When we went to marriage counseling, no one knew about PTSD. They didn't know crap, all right? No one helped us. And that was very, very disappointing. So I'm going to try to help somebody because I know where you are. You're just like, what is going on? Why am I having nightmares? Why do I feel so strange? Why is life itself so strange? All right. So number one, man is born to trouble. In other words, we have trouble in life for sure. So what's the difference between crisis and trauma? So crisis actually, I'm Chinese. It actually has two characters that makes up the word crisis. I have to bend my head a little bit, and later on I'm going to actually put my head down because my upper back is still hurting. But anyway, so crisis is actually two words. One is danger, right, which we've all seen, and the other one is opportunity. So if we can somehow, recognize the danger and then go through the healing process of post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic growth, then we could actually this could be an opportunity for us, okay, in our family. So it's very important. So then again, so crisis is usually, something normal that can happen, like a car accident or somebody gets sick and dies of cancer. Those are kind of normal, right? They're kind of normal. However, trauma is totally different. Trauma is an event that's outside of normal human experiences. That means like being abducted and sold into sex trafficking. It is like going off to war and seeing people get shot up and hurt and die. That's abnormal. It could be what you guys, we're all frontline people, right? I'm an ER doctor. For you guys, you arrive at the scene, somebody is either dead or dying, and you're literally visually seeing these things that are just captured into your brain. So that is not a normal human experience. So what we experience is not normal, and it is trauma. The other characteristic of trauma is powerlessness, okay? We lost, I never knew her personally, but I've dedicated my journey to her, Dr. Lorna Breen. She was an ER attending chief of the department. When COVID hit New York City, she was bombarded. People were just coming off the ambulance and just dying, and she was powerless. She was powerless to even protect her own doctors and nurses and staff because there wasn't enough PPE. She was powerless. So that is the one thing about trauma, is that you are powerless. And then the other one is hopelessness, and then the other one is timelessness. You don't know when it's going to end. If somebody could tell you, oh yeah, COVID's going to be gone in about 6 months. Hey, if you knew that, actually there'll be a lot of less stress, isn't it? So trauma is something that's outside of human experience. It's when you're feeling helpless, powerless, and timeless. You cannot change the situation that is happening in front of you. Again, this is not normal for us. And so that is why, and then also different violations, if you've been abused or, things like that, the trust, betrayal, everything's unpredictable now. So examples of traumatic events would be, the natural disasters. And, you guys know, the hurricanes, the floods, airplane disasters, 9/11, that's traumatic. That's not normal. Explosions and things. And of course, intentional things, like I just said already, like even suicide is a trauma. If you see it, suicide, or you hear about a suicide of a friend or a family, that traumatizes us, okay? That really does. Robberies, that's violation, of your boundaries. You don't feel safe anymore. Trauma, right? Also repeated, chronic things like spousal, domestic abuse, or even kids that are abused at home, so that's also very, Hello, Elizabeth. And war, of course, right? War is definitely on. And I know. I went to Desert Storm, so I know. So the statistics is that, and this is from the war, is that about, so there's actually, seems to be more untreated PTSD now. And actually 70% of the homeless veterans have major issues with PTSD, right? See? And also 70% of the women that are in the military, that's, because that's where I come from, have PTSD, all right? And now with COVID going on, COVID is also not natural. This is another traumatic thing just on top of all the trauma that we're seeing, that you've been seeing, guys, okay? So these are the ways that it affects us. I want to kind of tell you this because if somebody had told me this 30 years ago, it would have been so amazing. I could have saved my marriage, So, number one, trauma can teach us, kind of teaches us kind of an unhealthy way to relate to other people after you've been traumatized. It's really weird. You'll relate to people kind of suspiciously, or even to your higher power or God. You just you don't trust anymore. And also, you can also have intrusive re-experiencing of the event, and that's when you get triggered and you're reliving it, like somebody from war, goes to July 4th, and the little, firecrackers are going off, and they're like, they get triggered, and they dive down to the ground because, their buddy was like, blown up in half, right, during the war. So you're going to get triggered. And hyperarousal, same thing, a loud boom, fireworks, right? It's going to trigger you. You don't know what's going to trigger you. It's going to trigger you to something that you saw at the scene. And that's just a hyperarousal. And then the other one is just when you're, you're not happy about anything anymore. You're not really depressed about anything anymore. You've lost that joy. You're just kind of flat, right? So that's like a flat affect. And people are like, what's wrong? I mean, you're like asking yourself, what's wrong? I don't know. So that's the numbing effect. The other one, of course, because remember, when we're traumatized, we've activated the critter brain, the warning, the fire alarms are going off. So we're also always in fight or flight or freeze or even friend to fix people. Because our brain thinks that something is dangerous is going on. And this is the one that really could have saved me if I knew about this. That is the concept of dissociation. That means that you've been so triggered, and your mind is trying to protect yourself. The critter brain is a primitive brain, but it's also your survival brain. It's the one that tries to keep you safe from the tigers and the lions, the dangers in the world. So the mind actually takes the person, me, right, somewhere else, other than the present, because the present is dangerous. And that's called dissociation. So what happened after the war is I had made 2 tapes for myself to listen to during Desert Storm. My favorite songs, right? So here I am back in Brooklyn driving. I said, I'm going to pop in my tape, my favorite songs that I made up, right? And I'm telling you, I drove around for about 3 hours. I don't know where I was. I don't know where I went. I told my commander about it. And then, they didn't know. They didn't know about PTSD in 1990. So no help there at all. And so dissociation is basically you lose time and you don't know where you were. But that is, again, just your mind trying to tell you that you need some healing, all right? And then there's survival guilt. When others died and why did we survive? And that one's a tough one, And then that antidote is forgiveness, but that's a process we'll have to work through. And of course, obviously, addictions. Yeah, self-medicating because of the unresolved trauma, because it's not healed, right? I mean, The emotions may come up, or the critter brain may be activated. You don't know what to do. You just really don't. So you're either gonna, numb it with food or alcohol or whatever you find. And everybody's gonna be different. Or even fixing people, See, that's probably what I would go for, because I'm an Enneagram. I'm a kind of helper, rescuer kind of person. So sometimes if I don't want to deal with my own issues, I try to help other issues. But that's really kind of, numbing and, denying my own, need, right? And that's sort of an addiction too, right? So what determines the type of the impact or duration? How do you know what's going to affect one person differently than the other? We don't know. Everybody's brain is uniquely created, so we don't know, all right? It could be the frequency of the trauma. It could be the intensity of the trauma. It could be the age of the person when they got traumatized. Was there previous trauma? Was there help given? Like here, we're trying to help each other, If you can get help, like early on, it'll be really good. So this is just very important. PTSD is a normal human response to an abnormal situation. So there is nothing wrong with you, all right? You just have to, just like with me in the last 3 years, we just have to learn what happened to us, If somebody had told me explained this stuff to me, I would have been like, that's it. Yo, that's what I'm doing. Teach me, show me how to get through this. All right? So PTSD is a normal human response to an abnormal situation. Okay? And this is a wonderful quote. Trauma can lead to positive change, and this is what we hope for. And there is, because I'm living proof. So trauma can lead to positive change. It can even improve relationships. Imagine if somebody like me, because I'm a health coach now too, if somebody like me was there 30 years ago, able to counsel me and my husband, because we were both traumatized. We were both suicidal. Him here states, me over in Iraq. If somebody had worked with us and given us the facts and the skills that I now have, we could have saved that family, Anyway, so trauma also can, the possibilities for one's life. Trauma can be a greater appreciation after we heal. It can give us a greater appreciation for life, or a greater sense of personal strength and spiritual development, that higher power. You got to be so more connected. I'm so more connected to Abba Daddy. And a basic paradox achieved by trauma survivors, that's us, trauma survivors and thrivers, that somewhere in the way, they now see their losses as producing valuable gains for them. They may find themselves becoming more comfortable with intimacy and having a greater sense of compassion for others who experience life difficulties. So that is our goal. That is our hope. And I have to say, after 3 years of healing, that's where I am. I have such compassion. I've been reading your posts. I've asked Alan, what should I do? And he said, just get out there. Get out there and just tell everybody, share what's helped me. So that's what I want to do. So number one, remember, trauma activates the critter brain. So we have to find ways to let the critter brain know that it's safe. And it's a long process, but it can be done. Okay? So remember, trauma, PTSD, is a normal human response to an abnormal situation. And with the right help and just with information, right? And a trauma counselor, right? I need medications if you need. Yeah, possibly, yes. Then actually they recommend some medication for PTSD maybe the first 6 months, while you're trying to, but it has to be a whole team effort, and we can. So PTSD is a normal human response to an abnormal situation, but with the right help and with a team of helpers and with a tribe like this, we can actually go into post-traumatic, stress growth. And that's what we want. We want that growth, right? That growth, we're going to get away from the stress response, and we're going to teach our body to get into the peace response, right? Calm, relax, digest, and peace. All right? So that's so much to tell you, but that's what I'm going to say right now. Just those are the symptoms, remember? And just know that you have it, and there's nothing wrong. PTSD is a normal human response to an abnormal situation. We just need to be connected and help heal, because healing comes with connection. And you need to feel safe. If you don't feel safe, it's not going to happen yet. So you have to find a counselor, trauma, and your medical doctor may not know much about this stuff, but you've got to look around. And here is a tribe, and you can contact me. I'll share whatever I have to. And what I'll do is I'll try to come on a little bit, once a week to at least just share with you download some of the stuff that's really helped me. So the number one thing I want you to know is that crisis is a danger and an opportunity. But crisis is normal crisis. Trauma is not a normal human experience, okay? It is when you feel powerless, helplessness, and timelessness. You're out of control and don't know when it's going to end, all right? And being frontline people that we are, courageous, compassionate warriors that we are, we've been traumatized, okay? We've been traumatized. And the symptoms that you're going to manifest, you're going to. The brain, this is just natural. You're going to relate to people differently and to God differently. You're going to be triggered. You're going to be hyper-aroused or numbed or fight or flight or freeze or fix. You're going to dissociate. You're going to have nightmares, survival guilt. You're going to have addictions. But PTSD is a normal human response to an abnormal situation. And together, okay, we can navigate through, we can thrive in, and we can grow. Okay, grow in this trauma. Okay, together we can get better. I'm getting better. We're gonna get stronger. I'm getting stronger, and we're gonna be healthier. I'm gonna get healthier. We are healthy. Just look at Alan, right? Coach Alan, right? So that's what it is. PTSD is a normal response to an abnormal situation, unnatural situation. What you're going through is absolutely normal and appropriate for a human being to be going through. But together we have to get some healing. All right? Peace to everybody. And next time I'll talk a little bit more about the stress and the peace, so then we can kind of how we're going to actually get a little bit of self-soothing so we can start the healing process, okay? Any questions, definitely just put them in there, okay? Excellent. Peace, peace, peace. We are safe. You've got to tell your brain, it may not believe you yet, but right now you are safe. You are loved and valued, and you belong, right? We're here in this amazing tribe. We belong here. We know what trauma is. PTSD is a normal response to an abnormal situation. And here's to growth. Growth. Be blessed, everyone. In the name of the great physician. Shalom, peace, and growth. Growth.